Frank Stitely. I'm a partner with Stitely Karstetter CPAs. We're a 10-person firm. We're in Chantilly, Virginia, which is just west of the Washington, D.C. area. We're primarily a tax shop. We do some compilations and reviews. We work very hard on workflow management. It's a big deal for us. It's literally how we make our money. We're doing twice as much revenue with probably 4 or 5 fewer employees than we had back in the early 2000s. We had used Lacerte for 14 years, and we'd been happy with it over the years, but we felt that it was a bit of a dead-end product and that we needed to go to a place where the vendor was going to invest significant funds in platforms for the future. CCH Axcess is a cloud product. We're very dedicated to cloud products. We don't really see a choice for the future, so we thought going to CCH Axcess was a natural fit for us right from the start. We're definitely glad that we did. We were even surprised by some of the things we were able to do that we really hadn't thought of, but they turned out to be really almost game changers for us with a number of different returns. We absolutely are seeing time savings. It's just a new way of thinking about how we might enter data into a tax return. It's not a question of we have to key punch everything. We have all these different avenues. We have auto flow to bring it in. We have spreadsheet-based data entry to bring it in. There's just a lot of different, it makes you think a little bit differently about how you get information into a tax return product from an integration standpoint. Accuracy is really important for us, and in fact, when we implemented the auto flow program, we literally hired 2 entry-level guys right out of college to do the validation of the data entry before it got to the preparers so that we knew what they were going to be working with was accurate. The other thing that we really like is the on-screen review tools that we have, as well as the ability to expand into subschedules. It's just a much more visual product. It's a case of when you see something on a tax return, it's relatively easy to say, okay, that number doesn't look right, and what's the number behind it, and what do we have to do to fix the number to make it right? The benefit to us of staying ahead of technology is, to an extent, it changes the demographics of our clients. It allows us to serve a younger client. In our area, we have a lot of IT clients, men and women who are in their 30s and their 40s. They're government contractors. They do very high-tech sorts of things. They don't want to communicate with us and deal with us in the old ways of communication. They're very non-telephone call, very non-meeting oriented. And that's a big change from people over 60, I would say, more than anything else. Even people in the 50 to 60 range have at least adopted email, and they don't want to be interrupted with phone calls. It allows us to do a couple of things. We talk about being ruthlessly efficient in workflow management. One of the things it does is it lets us push tasks down to the lowest level of staff who's competent to do it. And we can save our expensive experienced preparers. They can be working on Schedule C's, D's, E's, stuff like that, as opposed to typing in W-2s and 1099s, which really isn't a particularly good use of their time, or our money for that matter. The integration that we enjoy is that when we get documents, and more clients are delivering us documents in electronic formats anyway. So we'll take whatever they give us, PDFs, TIFFs, and we have an admin person smash all that down into one PDF. Then we're able to have that person run it through AutoFlow. Then it runs through AutoFlow, and then we have an entry-level preparer. And as I mentioned, we had 2 that we hired just for this purpose, do the validation of the data entry while we're teaching them to do tax return preparation. So we had new entry-level people productive and billable almost from day one. I mean, entry-level people can at least say, here's a number on a W-2, it matches or it doesn't match. So what it does is it lets us use much less expensive people, and once AutoFlow has been pulled into CCH Axcess, then the preparer picks it up from there and enters in everything that doesn't come through on AutoFlow. Integration to us means the data goes in one place and it comes out in a finished product. It doesn't get double entered someplace. It means it can be entered once, reviewed once, and it's in the finished product. Scan and AutoFlow obviously integrate with the tax product itself. We also use CCH Practice Management, which integrates with tax, so that if we change an address or a name someplace, it flows back and forth between them. We're not looking at 3 or 4 different sources and going back to the client looking stupid when we got it right on the tax return, but we don't have it right on the invoice. And we have multiple people in the firm saying, okay, what is the right address? It's a lot of wasted time, and it's hard to even imagine how much time you waste that way until you're not wasting it anymore, and then you realize that, okay, this was something we didn't really foresee being a great benefit, but it turns out it's a benefit from admin all the way through to reviewers. It just cuts down on the amount of times you have to say, how do I know that address is right? We actually quantify it on we try to estimate what we have in terms of an hourly savings. And I would say we're saving 5 to 10 minutes per tax return just having one place to look for everything. On the AutoFlow standpoint, what we're really saving is we're saving the difference between an entry-level employee and a CPA with 5, 6, 7 years of experience in terms of the difference in the labor rate between them. Plus we get to have the entry-level people learn to do tax returns as they go. One of the big flexibilities for us is we're sort of in a weird weather area. We tend not to get snow, but we're not really a warm area in the winter. We tend to get a lot of ice storms, and there's just no way to drive on ice. So what happens is that we just tell people, shoot around an email or a text saying, okay, stay at home today. There's no use risking your life to get there. A really good example of this is just 2 Fridays ago. A construction company cut internet lines and power lines. So we just grabbed everybody in the office and said, go home. So any place we've got internet access, we have the ability to work completely with all cloud-based solutions. I think one of the big advantages also of being integrated and being cloud-based is that when we're looking at entry-level, college-level kids, it's not a foreign environment to them when they come into us. We're very digital, very electronic. We communicate with our clients electronically, and having a product like CCH Axcess fits in with our persona of being a forward-looking firm that makes us hopefully attractive for an entry-level person to say, okay, I'd rather go with them than go with this firm over here. One of the side effects of AutoFlow, I mentioned we hired 2 entry-level people. We would have been scared to death to hire entry-level people 5 years ago because we would have said, what are we going to do with them for the first 6 months? They're not going to know anything. But AutoFlow gave us something they could do competently while we're training them to do other things. It's just something we wouldn't have thought of. And after being in business 20-some years, 25 years, we all of a sudden discovered, hey, we're a pretty good place for entry-level people to work. It's also a lot more fun to be at the edge of the technology curve than it is to be trying to catch up to everybody down the road. The support, I mean, we've had some tender loving support in our conversion over from the previous vendor product to CCH Axcess. We've used support a lot, and no one ever said, hey, you're using way too much support. One of the new things I just saw this morning that's added to the Axcess product is literally a support button where you can get the support chat from right in the product. I mean, I think that's fantastic.